And now, more Utalk now.
I'm Steve Russo, and this is Utalk. We have got a very interesting show today. You're going to love our special guest. He's a very fascinating individual. But in the meantime, we have someone else who is going to join us very quickly. Katie, I can't believe it's really you.
I know. It seems like it's been a long time.
Oh, I know it has. It's fun to see you. It's nice to see your smile. Okay, now I got a question for you. When you were a teenager, did you ever have a dream about owning your own company?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it'd be cool, but that seems like it would be a lot to handle as a teen. It'd be cool, but that would be a lot. I don't know if I don't ever remember if I wanted to have my own company back then. There was so much I wanted to do, but
it's kind of a crazy question when you think about it. You know, and that's the question, to everybody today on the show is, have you ever dreamt of having your own company? Well, I'm going to bring our special guest on. I'm going to say bye for now, and great to have you stop by, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, see you all later. Bye.
All right. We're going to have our special guest now join us. This guy owns his own company. Can you believe it? Now, you say, oh, come on, Steve, that's no big deal, really. It is if you're 18 years old. And he's 18 years old, and he actually has a couple of DBAs underneath his main company, subsidiaries, I guess. And we just had a chance to be at an event together and work together at an event in Arizona. And Colton Minter, I want to welcome you to Utah. Great to see you again, man.
Good to be here.
Oh, I mean, this is crazy. Okay, you're 18 years old. I mean, you just graduated not too long ago, and you have this company, and you've got subsidiaries, DBAs, a couple of those things. You have people that work for you, and it's like you're 18. I mean, how did you get started doing this?
Well, it really all started when I was only 12 years old. I remember being in middle school, and I was actually at church when I first, saw that live production. I was in our youth group, and I was just amazed at the lights and the sound and the haze. And I started volunteering there, and then I started volunteering in the adult services. And, when I was in middle school, me and my friend were like, we can make money doing this.
At 12 years old, you said that? Oh, no way.
When I first did it, I was in seventh. It was the summer between 7th and 8th grade, I believe.
Okay, sure.
How old would that be? Maybe 14 or 15?
Yeah. Unbelievable. So it's like you saw this, you liked this, the staging, multimedia, all these other things, and you said to your friend, we could make money doing this. So What was the first step to be able to do that?
Well, we just made a website. It wasn't a formal company at that point because we were so young and we were struggling to figure out how we can do that. Turns out, looking back, it was all legal. It was all legal because it was a sole proprietorship. Doesn't even require anything filed with the government. You can become your own sole proprietorship right now. And then all you have to do is register your business name if you choose to do one. If you just want to operate as your name, you don't have to do anything special other than at tax time.
So that's kind of first step for those who are listening in on the conversation today on the show, that you use your name, file this thing. Tell people, what do you do?
Well, I do everything that you can dream of under the media umbrella. So, videos, live production. I even repair some phone screens and computers sometimes. Tech support, whatever you need, media. I do installs at churches and businesses. I've done media in church installs at big churches, at small churches, medium-sized churches, and network installs at all sorts of businesses, including a gun store, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What is the most challenging thing you've had to install, and what kind of a situation was it?
I would say it was that network. So I had quoted the job back in December, and they didn't actually decide to go with my quote and move forward until April, say, but that company had already come out with all new equipment in that time. In this industry, tech is always changing. It changes month to month. So if you quote something this month, it may be outdated next month. So what happened is I was familiar with that later equipment. They came out with the upgrades. I'm like, let's do the upgrade, right?
Sure.
Turns out maybe you shouldn't always be the first one to buy new tech because you will be their beta tester. So we were having some problems, connecting it. We eventually got it all worked out, but
sure.
Just being that tester for that first round of product, but we really got to install that state-of-the-art system in the store.
So where do these ideas come from? I mean, you do staging. You and I talked about that, and we talked about, collaborating on some things together and all. So where do the ideas come from? The inspiration to, like you showed me some pictures of some very cool things with lighting. I noticed you use a lot of lighting. Is it just, does it just come to you? Is there something that motivates you with these ideas, or?
Well, I'll take a lot of different ideas and compile them together. So I may see something I like at a stage at point A and something I like at point Z, and then combine them into something that is truly coherent. So it's not coming from one area. I'm not claiming to make it all up. I use other people's inspiration. That's really where it comes from. It just comes from compiling these great ideas together. So we're taking everybody's ideas and compiling them.
Well, that's really, it's been said that there's nothing new. It's right. Just a matter of putting things together. And that happens with music. That happens with books. That really happens, I think, pretty much in a lot of different industries. One athlete learns from another, and then comes up with something else. As a drummer, I know I'm doing that constantly. I hear this from this guy and this from this girl, and then I start playing with it a little bit. Next thing you know, it's kind of a tapestry of what I learned from somebody else, and then put it together and then made it my own. So sounds like that's really in essence what you're doing.
Right. And my mentors like to joke that I went to YouTube University, and they just wonder how long it would take them to go to YouTube University. And it's really true. Anybody has access to the information. You just have to find it.
So did you minor in Google?
I wish, but I did not. I'm actually majoring in business administration right now.
Okay, now wait a minute. You've got this company, and you have these DBAs that operate underneath the main company. You're doing all these different things: installs in churches, networking things in businesses, working at events like we were together this last weekend in Arizona, and you're going to school?
Yes, sir. And I really have to give all that credit to COVID-19, because it has really allowed me to do this. There's a lot of negatives to it as well, but the positive as it has really opened the door for online learning. And that's what I've really taken advantage of. So I haven't been to one in-person class this semester, although I have had the option to do so. But I've had such flexibility in my schedule. I can go and work in Dallas. I can go and work in Phoenix. I can go and work in Little Rock, and I can have class there.
Now, are you one of the, certainly you're not, I wouldn't want to even infer this, but some people that are doing online classes, they'll log in to the class and then take a little nap for a few minutes, or go eat some breakfast or ice cream, but you would never do that, right?
Well, if my school is watching, no, I would never do that. But I think like any student that's watching us right now, they can agree that sometimes you just need that little bit of extra sleep. And it's being recorded, so you can go and watch it later. Actually, after we end this, I've got to go catch up on some work I might have been sleeping through.
No, it's interesting you say that, because that was something I was going to ask you with your business. And first of all, obviously you found a positive in COVID-19. We wouldn't have this show. We have a lot of other different shows, and we're working on some new ones, and something that actually you have been, you're starting to help us with, which we will, spoiler alert, so we won't say anything right now, but it's very positive. For us, we wouldn't have been doing this show. For you, is it fair to say that school has become more of an opportunity along with your business because of COVID-19?
I'd say so. It really gives that opportunity to be able to commingle them, and in a lot of my classes, I'm getting to apply what I'm learning in my business math classes to my business and how I can further that. So they kind of go together, and it's great to be learning now. Sometimes it may be bad that I learned something a little too late, but we live and learn, right?
Oh, absolutely. And are you one that likes learning? I'm one, I like the school environment. I like the educational environment. I am a constant learner. You probably picked that up from me over some of the meals we had together, and I'm just constantly grabbing and putting things together. So I take it you're one of those as well. Yes,
you'll always catch me learning. There's very few hours that I'm just sitting there, enjoying a movie or a TV show. I'd rather be looking up stuff or figuring out a problem. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with wanting to do those relaxing activities, because certainly you have to have those in order to survive. You can't work forever.
Yeah, I know there's times when I find myself going, too many days in a row, too many long days. And it's like, I kind of sort of almost hit the wall. It's like, I want to sit down. I want to watch a movie. I just want to chill. I want to do something. Now, has COVID hurt your business or held you back or challenged you maybe in some ways you hadn't anticipated? Because you're talking about being in different places. You're still able to do that then in your part of the country. Yes. I mean, here in Texas, it's not as locked down, but as I look back, it really has progressed my business because churches are looking to get upgraded systems for their audio and video and lighting work so that they can reach the congregation. And then a lot of businesses are saying, okay, let's go ahead and do these upgrades right now while we don't have a ton of customers in the store. Oh, sure. Sure. That makes perfect sense. I've taken this opportunity as well to go and get some training as well. I'm now Ubiquity Enterprise Network certified through that company Ubiquity, so I can install those systems. And I took this opportunity while I had extra time during the summer to go and take those courses. Good idea. I mean, it's making the most of the time. It's really utilizing that time, which I think is really good. I know we have found ourselves, because I'm not traveling. I'm not traveling hardly at all because everything has been shut down. The events that were pre-scheduled, schools and that kind of thing. But we're building infrastructure things, and we're working on media projects, which is all going to support everything and expand things for us. What's your passion, Colton? I really just like helping people solve problems. I want them to present a problem to me, say that they want to reach more people in their congregation at their church. I want to be able to provide a solution that they can do that in an affordable manner. Because, you've got all these companies that'll go out there and they'll bid hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a job that you can do for half that price, and they're just raking in that profit. Or they're selling these churches products that they do not need. Not every church needs a $10,000 lighting board. Sure. And a lot of these larger businesses, they don't take that into account because they're making those margins. What I want to do is provide that to the people who didn't think it was possible. Nice. And do you find that same thing holds true with some of the businesses you work with, maybe some of the smaller ones, middle-sized ones? Or, I know in our conversations over the weekend, we would talk, you were encouraging me on some different equipment to get and showing me different ways to get that equipment and yet not kind of break the bank. Right. There's always options you have in the free market economy to buy the things that you want. And there's companies that sell those $10,000 lighting boards, but there's also companies that sell the $100 lighting software that will work just as well for most churches and most installations. And as we talk about small businesses, it's the same with them. Not every small business, including me, has all the money in the world to go and spend on these extravagant systems or extravagant advertising campaigns. They have to make the most of every penny that they spend. And they have to warrant it and make sure that their ROI is going to be able to where they can afford that and warrant buying something. Well, and that's really, there's a lot of wisdom in that. That's you want to be manage the funds you have well, and being able to, if you save in one place, I know for us, we can put those funds someplace else. We can expand on something. We can help somebody else. All of that. It all comes together like that. Share with young adults in the audience, which is, who our target is. What's the first step in owning their own business, having their own business? What's your advice for them? First step is just coming up with the idea. Come up with something that you can provide that is worth your time, that in the market you can compete in. So choose a product or a service that in the market is making enough that you can start as a small business. There's a lot of things that you can start with. You can start with drop shipping. I have a friend who started drop shipping and it's going pretty well for him. And that's basically where you just sell somebody else's product and they send it to them and you make almost a commission. Nice. There's lots of other businesses that you can start. I have another friend who makes these letters with pictures on them. So, if you want to give somebody a gift, your best friend's name is Joe, and he starts with a J, and y'all have a lot of pictures together. They will take these cardboard J's and Mod Podge pictures of you together on them as a gift, and they do that around the holiday season and everything. Yeah.
So you just have to create that idea, and then don't worry about the formalities. Don't worry about that yet. Just know that you can form a sole proprietorship, and then when tax time comes, make sure that you get a proper tax accountant to help you with that.
So, and the sole proprietorship, where do you go to do that? I mean, is there some place you go? You go online?
At least here in Texas, you do not have to do anything to become from my understanding, you don't have to do anything, file any paperwork, other than at tax time. I forget the form name. It has a C in it.
Sure. Okay.
But
and an
Texas,
accountant would know that.
And I'm talking all about Texas here, so you might want to research your own state's laws.
Sure.
But to form a sole proprietorship or even a partnership, you don't have to tell the government that in the beginning, because me and you could become a partnership right now. And we say we're a partnership, we're a partnership.
We're a partnership.
Now, if we wanted to call ourselves something else, we would have to file an assumed name, which in Texas is only $25, so it's really worth it.
Yeah, it sounds simple. It really is to get started.
Right. And even if you're not 18 yet, you can't file those forms yourself, but your parents can file them on your behalf.
Oh, okay.
So you can really get started as a sole proprietorship with a different name for only $25 in Texas.
Okay. Well, and so it sounds like you find something that you like to do, something that interests you, a niche in the market. You say, boy, I'm looking for this and I can't find it. I could do that. I could make it. I could direct it.
Right. Even if it's something that is already happening, but it's not being offered in quality or at an affordable price in your area, you can do it as well.
Sure. I mean, you really have to open up your mind. Do you find that getting with other people in kind of a brainstorm situation helps you, or do you not necessarily? Some people don't need that kind of input to be pushing forward.
It depends on the subject. On whether I would want to brainstorm or not. If it was a quick decision, definitely don't want to take the time to do that. We just got to make that snap decision and deal with our consequences later. But as far as when I'm designing an install of either a business or a church, I do want other people's input to make sure that I haven't missed anything, because I can miss stuff and I realize that I can. And I just want to get other people's opinion and get their eyes on it, just to make sure that I'm not missing anything, that we're going to incur unexpected expenses in the middle of the install.
So really, the sky is the limit. That we can do almost anything. I mean, as long as it's legal and it's ethical, and look to. And I think we're big at Utalk on helping people, making a difference, changing the world. And you could, somebody that's listening in, is watching, could actually come up with a concept and say, and change the world. Maybe it's in a small way, but nothing is really small. Everything is significant because it depends upon the life or lives that you're touching. So, I really want to encourage those of us that are with us right now on the show today. Think, dream big dreams. You never know. I was talking to somebody about a new project, and I had mentioned this to you that we are working on. We're very excited about it. And this particular guy said, hey, remember, Steve, it only takes one hit. It only takes one hit to really send something off. It really takes one hit to get something started. I mean, I can think of a bunch of examples from my own life. What is the most unusual project you've ever worked on?
Ooh, okay, let's think about this for a second. The most unusual project. I don't know. I haven't had any just out of the wall projects. I mean, on that network install at the gun store, we had about 2 foot of crawl space.
Oh,
and
goodness.
The building had been expanded several times. So where the roof used to be with the shingles, they just left it and built on top of it. So we were up in the attic, and there was another roof in the attic with shingles, and it was 125 degrees up there with 2 feet of crawl space in fiberglass insulation.
Well, it's a good thing that you are smaller than me. Let me just say that, because this big Italian dude would not make it in that little crawl space like that. I mean, and the stifling heat like that. And now, okay,
unfortunately, I have my little brother Easton. He is one of my best employees. I mean, he has a job with me anytime. Really? I'm not just saying that because he's my brother, but he is one of my best employees, and he really helped me on that job, and I have to give him credit to that.
Now, employees, how many employees do you have?
Well, as far as real employees, quote unquote, that I would send a W-2, I don't have any. I do 1099 contractors, which is easier on both of our parts in the beginning. So basically, I don't have to withhold taxes. They don't have to have taxes taken out. They just have to worry about that at the end of the year, and they get their full amount up front. And there's nothing binding us together. It's real easy to do. There's not much more than a W-9 you have to fill out. So,
well, I think isn't the phrase like an independent contractor? So they're working for you and with you, but in an independent capacity when it comes to taxes and the benefits and all that. I mean, which really gets complicated. But again, I'm amazed at your understanding of all of this at 18. I'm not 18 anymore. I wish I was sometimes, but I have trouble wrapping my head around some of this. But you have been obviously you have learned well. Now, I'm talking to you, and I'm thinking too about our conversations earlier. Do you ever have trouble with people taking you seriously at 18? I mean, if they listen to what you say, I mean, I'm grabbing everything I can from you and, texting you, Colton, what about this, or taking notes or whatever, but have you had that problem of somebody taking you serious because you're only 18 when they find out?
Occasionally I have, and I do think that has hurt me in several areas. But for the most part, even with dealing with the banking system and dealing with insurance companies, they all treat me just as they would any other customer. Because at 18, you are an adult, and you can legally form a company, and you can legally pay taxes, and you can do anything. There's a few things, of course, but sure. For the most part, they treat me as an adult. Even at the hotels that I stay at, they observe my company and will create a corporate account for me.
Wow. That's very cool. Although, is it hard to get reservations at certain hotels because you're only 18 and the whole rental car thing?
That is a challenge, actually. And I think we talked about this earlier a couple of days ago. But at 21, is when you really get to stay at almost all the hotels, 25 for some. But at 18, it's a very limited number of hotels. You can basically ex-nay all of Holiday Inns, Marriott's, and most of the Hilton brand. Wyndham's are pretty good. So if you're 18 and needing a place to stay, you can stay at most Wyndham's. Do call and check because some of them are changing their policies now. Also, you can stay with Airbnb, which is a house or condo rental. You can even rent a room. It's a very good option. So there's options. There are options. You just have to find those workarounds. You can't give up. And that's something that you really have to take into account in every aspect as you want to start a business. Good. You can't let one thing stop you. You have to get through that. You have to move on. You can't let it stop you. You can't let one thing stop you. You can't let two things stop you. You have to keep going. Don't let something stand in your way because there's always a way around it.
So you've got to know what you're all about, know your purpose, be committed to your cause. And I like what you just said. There's always a way around it. And I think some people fall short of accomplishing their dream. I'll use that phrase because they run into one roadblock,
exactly.
One ditch in the road. And I mean, you've got to be full on. You are all for it. You're going to do it all the way and not let anybody or anything stop you. I mean, certainly there could be some ridiculous situations which don't even merit, taking time to talk about. But I like that. It's just you're all in. I mean, you've got to be all in to do this. And finding that way around. I mean, it's whether it's around the right, the left, over it, through it, whatever it happens to be, there's always going to be a way to get through it. And you seem to be persistent and someone who is persevering, really. Because you have to have experienced some frustrating times.
Oh, yeah.
Now you mentioned a mentor. Is that the time when you go to, have you found yourself going to the mentor from time to time saying, hey, this just happened. What do I do?
Yes, all the time. And I have several mentors in my life, including my parents. They're some of my biggest supporters. And
nice.
I just can't thank them enough. So I'll go to them. I'll go to my other mentors and just ask them, what do I do in this situation? Sometimes I don't like it. And sometimes I don't react the best way.
Sure.
But in the end, that's what needs to happen, and that's how we need to change and be open with ourselves.
No, absolutely. And I love the mentorship thing. Would you suggest everybody have a mentor?
I suggest people have more than one.
Yes.
You don't have, have one for each area of your life. Somebody that you go to for emotional support, someone you go to for business support, somebody you go to for friend support, just every aspect of life, have somebody that you can count on.
Right. Now, I've had the great opportunity, and I still do have mentors. And going back to what you said about not letting one thing stop you, he's no longer alive, but he still speaks to me in a sense because of the years I spent with him. And his name was Dr. Ted Engstrom. And I'll never forget one of in fact, the very last time I saw him. He was in an assisted living place, and we had lunch, and I took him over because he needed to see the doctor there. And I said goodbye to him, shook his hand, and I started to walk away, and he goes, "Steve, come here." And he looked me straight in the eye, and he said, "It's always too soon to quit." And that has stuck with me. And then his best friend took over, Evan, as in fact at Dr. Ted's memorial service, his best friend Evan came up at 90 years old and said, "Steve, I'm going to step into Ted's shoes in your life." And I'm thinking, I'm going to take everything, you've got to offer me. The frustrating part was I told him the story of what Dr. Ted told me. And frequently I would hear him say, "Steve, what did Ted say to you?" I said, "Evan, I have no recollection of that conversation." He said, "Stephen," when he said Stephen, then I knew, okay, I bet it's like mom and dad saying Stephen kind of a thing. But mentors are, I have been so blessed with several, a number of them that are just treasures. It's Evan lived to be 102, and at 100 years old, he would say, "Stephen, did you get my email? Now, did you process?" And he'd say things like, "Steve, I want you to call Colton," and his phone number is, and he's not reading anything. He's not looking on a tablet, a phone, or anything else. It's all in his memory, but it's such a rich experience to have somebody in your life that you can go to. And as you said, I've practiced the same thing. Mentors for different dimensions of my life, because they all have different strengths. And it's just, so if you're listening in on this conversation, you're watching us. Consider finding a mentor, more than one, because it will be a rich experience in your life. Your life will never be the same. They can motivate. They can help you innovate. I mean, there's all kinds of things. Now, there might be somebody in the audience who says, "Colton, I would really like to have my own YouTube channel."
Right.
Okay. I mean, because that's huge. I mean, everybody. I think there's like, what is it? 700,000 podcasts out there today, or more, probably 750,000 by now. I don't even have any idea how many YouTubers there are. But somebody's out there and they say, "Hey, I'm inspired, and I've got this idea for a YouTube channel, have my program there. Where do I start, and what's the basic equipment you have to have?"
Well, I would say that the most important thing to remember when starting YouTube is that quality is key. People will notice the quality. There's a lot of competition out there. So
yes.
you need quality. It doesn't have to be expensive, but you need to have that eye for detail. You need to train your eye to see the detail and to see what's missing in a frame. I want you to go and look at some of the best videos, some of the best channels out there, and see what they do. Take note of what looks good and take note of what looks bad. Then that's how you apply it to your channel. So you're going to take all these things that look good, combine them together, and avoid doing those things that don't look good.
So that's training your eye then, right?
That's really the most important thing that I can convey, is just to keep the eye for quality. Don't let one thing slip, because when you let one thing slip, the whole mountain's going to come sliding down.
Interesting. I like what you're saying, because, again, it's learning. We need to be lifelong learners, and we take things and put them together. And training your eye, there's so much value in what you're saying. I do that. You and I have had conversations about that, and looking at something and evaluating, and the quality. I've noticed that there has been, to me, a number of things online that not just YouTube but other platforms, and you say, "Why would you do this? The sound is terrible. The lighting is terrible. There's no point to what you're doing." And it's not just enough to have that. And it's really a commitment to doing it right and a commitment to excellence, I think.
That's very correct. And that's just one thing that you have to remember as you go on. And never be happy with your product is another one. It sounds rude. It sounds terrible. Never be happy with your product. But there is always room to improve. There's always room to get better. And we can always better ourselves. Don't let your show on your YouTube channel or in life sit stagnant and just accept it for how it is, because there's always innovation that can happen.
So you're really a self-evaluation. I know I find myself doing that. I'll watch, one of these on Instagram TV or another video or something, and I'll critique myself and say, Steve, you could have done this better. You could improve in this way. Don't use your hands so much, or, whatever it happens to be. But that idea of being able to evaluate in a positive way, it's not knocking, why are you doing this? You're not talking about that. You're talking about productive evaluation and then continuing to strive to grow and to be better. Because I look at some early things we've done and I look at what we're doing now and I say, wow, this is incredible. But we're not there yet. And I want to keep pushing that line further out and further out. And I know I find getting with people like you and others, you motivate me. These different people that I surround myself push me and direct me. So what's the basic equipment somebody needs to have?
Well, you can really do it with your phone.
Okay.
You can do it with your phone. Right now, on this interview, I didn't have any lights. I have all my lights at other jobs right now. So these are some lights I pulled out of my room from IKEA. They're just some $15 each lights. I've got two of them here. I've got a $5 color bulb in the back and another $5 one on this, another $5 one in the lamp over here.
That's crazy.
You don't have to have professional equipment to do it. Eventually you want to, and I would love to, but all my equipment's in Dallas right now, so I had to improvise 15 minutes before the show. But I'm standing up here. But
so once again, it's the look. You take what you've got to work with and do the best you can. And you can always improve, but again, having that eye for detail and just putting pieces together, and it doesn't have to be expensive. It looks cool. So that's awesome. I would, if, by the way, those of you that are catching this conversation, if you start a YouTube channel, let us know. By the way, how can those of you when I say let us know, here at Utalk, it's just at Utalk Radio across the board in social. How can people follow you, reach out to you on social, website, that kind of stuff?
They can find me in a variety of ways. I have several websites, my main website being mentornortheast.com. There's a contact form. There's all my contact information. If anyone here is watching and needs someone to guide them through, I'd be more than happy to talk with you.
Awesome.
You can email me at colton@mentornortheast.com, and I'd love to talk to anyone on here today.
And that's Mentor, Minter,
that's
like
right.
a coin mentor. So
right.
Give that to us again.
Yeah.
What was that email again?
mentornortheast.com. So it's Colton at Minter northeast.com. And just shoot me an email. We can chat. Find me on social media. Just search my name, Colton Minter. And I'd love to connect with you.
Awesome. That is so cool. Now, what kind of basic, just as we wrap up our conversation, because we're going to have to talk some more. I think there's a lot of things we could chat about, which is great. What's the basic thing you want to leave our audience with? If there was one thing you say, hey, I hope I'd like you all to remember this. What is that nugget that you want people to take away from our conversation?
I just want people to know that it's not that hard to get into what you love doing. Strive to find a job that does not feel like you're working, and you'll never work a day in your life. I
love that.
Requote it, but it doesn't take that much. I actually, just persevere through all the challenges.
I like that.
Don't let one thing stand in your way. Don't let two things stand in your way. Don't let 100 things stand in your way, because there's always a way through. There's always a way through that challenge that you are facing at that time. You just may have to take a step back and reevaluate your situation, see where your priorities lie, and see what's most important to you, and see how you can get around that challenge.
Oh, I love it. That the word perseverance keeps popping back. And I remember traveling in Asia. And the languages are pictorial languages. They're symbols and all. And I will never forget a gentleman saying, do you know what our symbol is for perseverance? And I said, no. He said, it's a picture of a knife stuck in a heart. And he said, we define perseverance as the ability to continue on with a knife in your heart. And that has stuck with me, because it's such a vivid picture. And I appreciate who you are. I appreciate what you're all about. I appreciate you taking the time to be with us here on Utalk. Just such valuable information. And you amaze me at the age of 18. I shudder to think where you're going to be when you're 25 and 35 and all that kind of stuff. So, but thank you so much. Thank you for doing what you do. I know you were a great help, at the event you and I were part of, and we've already talked about stuff we're going to collaborate on together. Once again, give us your website, your email, and your social.
You can visit it at www.mentornortheast.com. That's my main company page. Or visit my personal page, www.coltonminter.com. You can also email me at colton@mentornortheast.com or find me on any of my social medias by simply searching Colton Minter.
And Mentor, by the way, is Minter. Colton,
right.
Thank you so much. Great to see you again. Look forward to our next conversation and the opportunity to work together. But thanks for taking time to be on Utalk, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, talk soon.
This is Utalk Radio.